Good morning or good afternoon, I guess or evening, depends on when you're watching this. Uh, it seems like when I get updates, I get like several updates at once. So it's like I'm quiet for a little while and then we get some momentum. This one will be just a little bit longer because it's regarding transplant. But um, the short version is that I'm going to Cleveland the week of radiation early to have all of my clearance appointments so that I can check all those boxes to get on the transplant list. So if you need to stop the video here and you don't want all the details, that's great. Please just pray because there are a lot of things that need to be done. And I was telling my parents last night that it feels like the biggest exam of my life that I can't study for, and I have no control over the outcome. But we know the one who does, and that is the Lord. So we are trusting Him that if this transplant is supposed to happen, and this is in His will, that He will check all those boxes, that He'll make my body ready for this, and we'll give Him all the glory for it. So those that are sticking around for details, I was gonna go to Cleveland for radiation on the 26th, and so they have actually scheduled me with appointments beginning on Monday morning the 23rd. My mom and I will be going down together. I have to have everything done. So I had the dental clearance yesterday. I have to have a mammogram. I have to do an education class. Actually, that is before I go online. I do a virtual education class, but the week that I go to Cleveland, I have to have complete lab work done. I have to see the hepatologist, the transplant surgeon, the social worker. I have to meet with infectious disease and get cleared by them. I will meet with pharmacy to go over all the pre and post transplant medications because I will have to be on anti-rejection medications for a while after transplant. I have to meet with cardiology, have an echo of my heart done, meet with nutrition to talk about pre and post diet to be ready for transplant, but then also how to take care of that new liver if and when I get it. Let's see, I need to have a CT scan, an MRI, and a PET scan every 3 months leading up to transplant. They have to make sure that my disease is stable and that I don't have any progression and that I'm responding to treatment. So after radiation, in a couple weeks, I'll restart chemo. I'll be doing chemo pills, so I won't have to go to the infusion center. I'll take those at home. There are some side effects, but I've heard that they're more minimal than the infusions, but I guess we'll see. But I am thankful that I have that option. So we just pray that those pills help me to maintain stability with current disease, and also that there's no progression. I can't have any progression outside of my liver. If I do, that will end the transplant process. So I also am going to have monthly blood work done, and it's going to be a pretty big process. But once I check all the boxes off, my case will go to the selection committee at Cleveland Clinic, and that committee consists of all of the transplant surgeons and doctors and coordinators. They will review my case along with other cases, and if they agree, then my name will be put on the transplant list. So One thing to know about radiation, this Y90 treatment that I'm having next week, is that they're going to insert these radioactive spheres into the blood vessels that are feeding my tumors in my liver. And so essentially those spheres are going to release radiation into the tumors through the blood supply and kill them. But that doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And so I probably, there's a potential that I'll have a scan sooner, but typically it's, 60 to 90 days out. So there's the potential that after I have this radiation, we might just be waiting for 3 months to see if it worked and to make sure that there's no more growth in my liver. So it's a lot of hurry up and wait, My transplant coordinator's name is Michelle. So as you're praying for me, if you would pray for Michelle. I haven't met her in person yet. We just talked on the phone, but she was very helpful. She'll be, walking with me through this whole process. I'm also really grateful to have a community online called Colon Town, where there's thousands of people who are struggling with my disease with various metastasis and have, they're at all different parts of this journey. I've met a couple of people, online who've had transplant, and this afternoon I'm actually going to talk to one of them. His name is David, and he is 20 months out from successful liver transplant. He's a fellow believer. He loves the Lord, and so he's been a great encouragement to me. So we're actually going to connect via phone today, and I'm hopeful that he can answer some of my questions about his experience. His transplant was done at Cleveland Clinic, so I think it'll be a really relevant conversation for what I'm facing. So the Lord has just been so gracious. He's opening doors. He's making moves. He's doing things that we couldn't have made happen on our own. All of this feels very out of control for me, which is hard. I like to be able to control things in my life, at least feel like I have pseudo control over things, when the reality is we really don't. So, like I said earlier, this feels like the biggest test of my life, that I have no control over how I score and if I pass or fail. But the Lord does, and He already knows. And so we trust Him completely. We trust Him with my life, with my health. That's not to say that we don't have fears and anxiety at times. We're human. We fall into periods of dismay and sadness. I've had some really, really good cries lately, with my kids, with my husband, with my family. It's hard to be strong all the time, to be brave. I know that that's not something that God calls us to do in our own strength. He does tell us to be strong and courageous, and He does tell us to trust Him, but that strength is never something that He requires us to muster up on our own. It's always something that comes from Him. As Paul says in Corinthians, that Christ's strength in us is made perfect in our weakness. And so I just keep saying, Lord, I'm really weak, so you need to be really strong for me. But we're doing well. I've had some really good high energy days, and that's good for the soul. But we've also just had immense encouragement and help from our community. I always say it, but just like the meals, people bringing meals. We have a meal coming tonight. I had a friend drop off snacks and food for our kids yesterday from Costco, and filled the pantry with stuff that our kids can just grab and that we can grab. And they even thought of like extra healthy greens for me to put in to get extra nourishment. It just like the thoughtfulness of people, people dropping off meat for the freezer and gift cards to go grocery shopping, or Venmoing us money, asking us what we need. And honestly, like, the Lord just continues to show up and to provide. It's not like it's just in the nick of time. It's like, for us, it's way ahead of something happening. And Matt and I have gotten into a habit of saying, like, when something happens, like, there's a blessing or there's a change, we know, okay, the Lord is on the move. Like, he's going to do something. And it's happened that way with, like, work for me, like losing my job and then having to step away from the, current marketing job that I was doing because of this recurrence. And, just all of the uncertainties. We've learned that God is way ahead of us, and sometimes we don't see it in like just everyday normal life, but I can tell you that our eyes, Matt and I, our kids, our eyes are open to what the Lord is doing ahead of our circumstances. And so if I can just encourage you today, I know that this has been super long, but if you're in a season of difficulty and you're waiting on the Lord to do something, open your eyes and look and see, is he already doing something? Sometimes we call it counting our blessings, like looking around and finding what to be grateful for. But we have to have eyes to see, and sometimes we need to ask the Lord to give us eyes to see what he is doing, so that we can firmly trust him in his plan. And so yeah, that's what I'm learning lately. That's the update. If you hung around this long, thank you. You get a gold star. And just know that we love you all. We can't always respond to all of the messages. I'm a thank you note person, and I have wanted to write thank you notes, but a friend encouraged me that it would be impossible to write all the thank you notes for all of the people who've done something for us, and will do something for us. And so, as much as it goes against my nature and the grain of who I am, please accept this as our thanks for the way that you've been the hands and feet of Christ in our lives. So we love you all, and keep trusting in Jesus. He's good.